Her passion is contagious. She's smart, creative, focused, a leader who firmly believes in bringing in the brightest people and lets them do their jobs. As president and CEO of CBS News and Stations and CBS Media Ventures, Wendy McMahon supports the journalism of CBS News and its iconic brands, such as 60 Minutes, and for that I thank you. She leads the #1 organization in first-run syndication, as well as its content licensing to television stations, and the division's national advertising sales business. Wendy is also a champion of 27 local CBS television stations and 14 local CBS streaming channel news brands, and their role as community and solutions-oriented journalists. Anyone who has worked with Wendy knows the 3 C's: content, culture, and community. She has promoted initiatives that have increased the local news hours produced by CBS stations from 26,000 in 2021 to more than 42,000 in 2024, with an emphasis on journalism that aligns with the station's mission of making the markets they serve better places to live. She's future-focused, having led the station's group's expansion efforts, such as the CBS Local News Innovation Lab, Newsroom of the Future, and the first ever morning news franchise at KCAL in Los Angeles. Wendy's career has taken her from Savannah to New York City, with several stops in between, including nearly 12 years in leadership roles at ABC television stations. Her news and creative teams have received numerous regional and national awards. She has been recognized for her leadership by Variety's Women's Impact Report and by Multi-Channel News and Broadcasting and Cable. Today, we recognize her too, with a new title. She's now a giant. Wendy McMahon, please. Congratulations.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm last. So right after this, you can immediately exit to the, I'm sorry, I'm not going to give producing notes at this time. So thank you to the foundation for this honor. Thank you to Bill Whitaker, who I think we can all agree was a fantastic MC today. I might be a bit partial. Congratulations also to my fellow honorees. You are among the best in the business. It's an honor to be inducted along with you. Just 1 week ago, my colleagues at CBS News and Stations settled into what would ultimately total 250 hours of live continuous coverage across every imaginable platform, following what was, what is, one of the most consequential, one of the most intense, one of the most significant election cycles of our lifetime. It was a story that CBS News covered from every corner of the country, and I cannot thank our teams enough, including those here today, for their reporting and their resolve. Thank you. The fact is, never before has the work of a journalist been more important. It's also true that never before has the work, the position, the profession felt so precarious. Admittedly, the outlook for the industry, it can be a bit foggy at times, and that's true for any number of reasons. Yes, we face headwinds in broadcasting, but if you look across the country, the number of local newspapers, the number of local outlets that have been gutted, that have been closed down, resulting in news deserts, resulting in spaces and places where people simply do not have access to trusted news and information. It's also true that we cannot ignore the number of surveys that indicate a growing lack of trust in journalism, in what we do. Fact-based journalists are routinely bucketed with those purveyors of misinformation and disinformation. We are attacked, we are called fake news, or worse. But it is in those moments where we excel, where we elevate, where we are called upon to do so. We cannot define ourselves by those who look to dismiss what we do. We need to stand firm for fact-based, objective journalism. That doesn't mean to say that we don't need to evolve. We don't need to be constantly listening to our viewers, listening to America. But we need to do so while upholding our values. I often talk about the need to retain and defend your why while courageously challenging your what and your how. I think it's important to also recognize that we work in broadcasting. I am proud to work in broadcasting at a time when technology moves us into silos, moves us into more isolated spaces. Broadcast television stands apart. I'm not naive about the state of the business. It's not the business it was 10 years ago. It's not the business it was 5 years ago. However, it has an unrivaled reach and impact. It still stands to be a great unifier, bringing people together for shared viewing experiences. Look at Sundays on CBS, the NFL, 60 Minutes. The viewing in and around those properties, those programs, it dwarfs the biggest original shows on the biggest streamers in this country. We cannot forget that. I have worked in and around television newsrooms my entire career. And it's because, quite simply, I believe in the purpose, I believe in the mission, I'm inspired by the people I've worked alongside, people who are in these roles because it is their calling, it is not their jobs. I also know that it's a calling to serve the public. It is, in fact, a public service that we do. And I've never taken that responsibility for granted. And the fact is, none of us take that responsibility for granted. Everyone in this room, you have an opportunity, you have a responsibility to support fact-based journalism, to support investigative journalism, to support community journalism. As I said earlier, it is more important now than ever. I also might have said that the outlook is a bit blurry, a bit foggy at the top. I would also tell you that I'm incredibly bullish. Talk about giants here today. It was the giants in the past at CBS News who invented modern-day broadcast television news. We now have the opportunity to create anew, to ensure the viability of this business, of these brands, of this profession for decades to come. Our viewers depend on it. Our country depends on it. Thank you.
So you see why we're all so happy and lucky to have Wendy leading CBS News.